Oh, well, I was going to call a brief recess until our fourth person can come in.
Meeting to order.
Okay, so we wait till the fourth person comes in? All right. I am not calling this meeting to order until they bring me my gavel, and we can do this properly.
Exactly.
Bringing it to disorder.
The Vision Commission for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024 at 2:01 PM. We have a call to order, please. Roll call.
Dr. Root,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Colina,
Here.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Here.
Ms. Jennings. Okay.
Division Commission for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024.
Did I say 2022? I meant 2024.
Mr. Kuskudis,
Here.
Mr. Simmons is absent, and Mr. Terrapini is present by audio.
Is Mr. Terrapini on the line?
Yes. John, are you on the line?
Yes.
Was he?
I said he was
Okay, I
present by
did not
audio.
hear that. I
There
apologize.
isn't, this is.
Okay,
last time, so
on the agenda right now is public comments. However, we don't have the public here, so we're going to go ahead past that. First thing is to review our draft questions. These are the items that will go out in the ballot. It looks like this.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Do we have copies of these?
We have it up on the screen.
All right. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And just for the chair's notice that, just for the chair's notice, I actually have an interview with the new CEO at the hospital at 4. Hopefully we'll be done a little bit.
Stop in and say hi, Mike.
Okay.
All right. So no bathroom break
No
then.
bathroom break.
All right. If you have to go,
I'll hold it.
yeah, there's the bottle here.
I know. I was thinking the same thing, but this, never mind.
All right, let's get started. Number one, charter amendment, adding dredge and spoil sites to acquisition by city eminent domain.
Can I get a copy of that? We have,
Can you read that? If
we
you
have
can't-
copies. I can read
Here,
it.
why don't you share mine? Okay, I don't want to delay this since we just lost an hour on our
Either, I didn't
schedule.
know that was out.
Okay, so we're starting here. So on this, we need to review the title and we need to review the paragraph. I'm happy to read the paragraph if needed. Does anyone need it read aloud?
No.
No, okay, that's fine. Are there any comments to the title?
Well, not the title, the paragraph.
No, okay, I had an issue with having city there.
What do you mean? What, who else could do it other than the city?
Well, but to acquisition by eminent domain, period. I don't think city is, it helps the understanding to John Q. Public.
Act was
I agree with Carrie.
You don't think it helps?
I agree with Carrie.
John, that's amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Well,
know.
just so I understand, the only people that can go through an eminent domain is a government agency or government. And if you don't have city, who else?
Exactly, and if you're not, and you're an attorney, and you understand that, but we're doing the average person, how are they gonna know what it is or who can do it?
Yeah.
That's why we put city.
They may think that a public person goes, or you know, you do eminent domain on your neighbor because you want the property, but
Right.
only a government agency can go through an eminent domain process. So
And not too many people are, I would say the average person doesn't understand what eminent domain is.
Well,
Man, that's you guys are insulting the public. They're a lot smarter than you think. And the whole thing is it's a city charter, so it's taken for granted that it's the city actions in all of these things.
I don't necessarily agree, but it's whatever
So
you all
that's
want.
fine.
okay, so the bottom line is it does talk about the acquisition by the city of real property within the paragraph. That's why I just thought the
Remember, the title is just to inform somebody what this paragraph is going to be about. It's a
Well-
general statement.
I will defer to,
I just think it's probably important to leave in there just so the person even, so, you know, somebody may not even read. And John, I appreciate the fact that their people are smarter than we think they are, but sometimes people will read just a caption at the top, and that's their limit of what they'll read. And I just, you know, as Attorney Salzman says, you know, people are smarter than that, but knowing some of the legal consequences of the process, they may not be, you know, attuned to that. Because, you know, in my practice, I represent people who are very sophisticated, very smart, but some of the nuances they have, they're clueless.
well,
And this is just,
we're not attorneys.
yeah. And
Okay,
so
okay.
I think leaving it in is
Okay, so is there
important.
any comments on the paragraph itself?
Are all of these going to be prefaced with sponsored by the Charter
That's
Revision
how you did it.
Commission?
That's how you have done it. That's why it's done, and that's why we do it. So
And it's important that they know that this is coming from the Charter Revision Committee and not something that's being inputted from a commissioner or
Right.
you know, that's
exactly
their
the same
input, it's our
language.
input.
That's exactly where we had it at your last one, how we started each one.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
but,
it's good.
but I do want to say about the title, I think greater clarity is always better than less clarity. And no matter how smart people are, nobody knows everything, you know, so, yeah.
Okay, question. Now, when we vote on this, is it 3 of 5 or 4 of 5 that required to pass? Because we normally have 7 on the panel.
It's 3 of the 4.
Of the 4, yeah. Oh, that's right. There's 4 of us. We're not counting people on the phone.
Thank you.
All right. I get this back. Okay, so,
Thank you.
we have,
So
I'm saying right now we have, it seems that we have 2-2. I am not firm. That's not a hill I'm going to die on.
okay, I was going to say
But I'd like to hear from my vice chair what his opinion on the title is.
I don't think, I really don't think people are gonna be confused either way. But the more they know, the more they can see and read, the better off we're gonna be in the long run.
Okay, so we have 3-4. So
making a motion.
I'd like a motion to accept this paragraph and title as written.
A motion as to,
Just a minute. Joan, did you have anything to weigh in on this?
No, not really.
Okay,
No, Carrie, I agreed with you, but like you said, it's not a hill to die on.
okay.
We'll
So
save,
let's go,
we'll
let's
save that one for later.
go
Okay,
ahead
all
and
right.
vote on this. I'll take a
Save the hills for
motion.
later. A motion to approve as read, the number 1. I don't know if you want me to read the whole
Paragraph
thing,
and
the
the-
paragraph
And the title.
and the title, so.
Second.
Okay, first, motion and seconded. Can I call the vote?
Dr. Bucavalis?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Kolianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Second one, increasing exemption threshold for real property. Sponsored by Charter Revision Commission. City Charter presently requires a voter referendum and approval by affirmative vote of 4 members of the Board of Commissioners if the city wishes to purchase, sell, exchange, convey, or lease real property in any amount greater than $350,000. Shall the charter be amended to increase the amount to $500,000? Are there any comments on the title or the paragraph? Yeah.
Nope.
John?
I'm good.
Okay, so I'll-
John?
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move to accept the title and the,
Yeah, I'm good on it too.
You're good on it too. Okay, thank you. But, okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a second by Mike. Let's call the vote.
Dr. Bucavalis?
yes.
Judas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Okay, number 3, identifying funding source, sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission. The city charter presently provides for the Board of Commissioners to adopt sale, purchase, conveyance, and leasing procedures by ordinance. Shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to identify funding sources as a part of the sale, purchase, conveyance, and leasing procedures? Are there any comments on the title or the paragraph?
Just one, and it's just grammar. Should it say to identify funding sources or disclose funding sources in the last sentence?
Let me see. Well,
And I guess
Would there
your whole
be one-
term was, I mean, I think the whole time we talked about it was identifying funding source.
Yeah, we used the
That was
word
a term that was
identifying.
used throughout
the ordinance.
all discussions and your action, so that's why that language was put in there that
Okay.
way.
Right.
okay,
It was
no
identified.
problem.
It should be a uniform use.
It is. Okay.
Well,
Any further comment?
No, I'll move to accept the charter revision number 3 in its entirety.
Is it seconded?
Yes.
Second. Okay. Call the vote, please.
Dr. Bucavalis?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 4, real property acquired by referendum or maximum purchase price requires disposal by referendum. Sponsored by Charter Revision Commission, proposed restrictions on disposal of real property owned by the city. Shall the charter be amended to require real property purchased by the city by public referendum or real property which has a value equal to or greater than the maximum value the city may purchase without requiring a referendum be sold, swapped, or traded only upon approval by referendum? Comments on the title or paragraph? Tina?
No.
Mike?
Yeah, John, I think you may agree with me on this. I think having a threshold is important, but I don't want the city to start buying property based on what they think the appraised value is without, for any purpose, because there's no check or balance with regard to the city's ability to purchase property without referendum. I have no problem with a threshold. I think we talked about a threshold at one time, did we not?
Yes, well, it's in there as the value the city may purchase. This one was added specifically so you couldn't swap or trade.
Right.
And it's also in the ordinance as a value equal to or greater than the maximum value when y'all did the ordinance.
And that was the language that was specifically brought up. That's why
I
that
may
language
have
was
been
used.
gone that day.
I
You
think
may
you
have
might have been, but we had discussed that. And yes, the reason was exactly what Chair said. This had to do with making sure that something couldn't be sold, swapped, or traded, either that had been acquired by referendum or that had reached that maximum value, so that it was covering both. But it was only on getting rid of.
Right.
Right, that was the
Yes,
sole
this-
question.
Yes, that's what this one was. Okay, any further comments or questions? Jim? Nothing? John, did you want to, do you have any?
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
Joan?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
We got a motion, a second, please?
Second?
Thank you, Tina. Call the vote, please.
Dr. Bucavalis?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 5, enumerating the powers, responsibilities, and duties of the Board of Commissioners. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently provides the Board of Commissioners with numerous duties, responsibilities, and powers, including the adoption of a budget. Shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to review the charter for funding requirements when adopting the city budget? Comments on the paragraph or title?
Yes?
Yes, John, go ahead.
Okay, so sometimes I think these things are more wordy than they need to be. And when really what we're wanting to do is ask a question, right? So to me, this is just me, I would just say, shall the charter, and this is a change in the last sentence, shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to satisfy funding requirements required by charter when adopting the city budget?
Maybe a little bit longer.
But I don't think that's what you all said.
Review the chart.
It's exactly what we said.
No, you said to make sure you review the charter for funding requirements.
Well, the intent, Andy, was that the Board of Commissioners take into consideration the budget requirements of the charter so that they've included those in their budget.
John, I 100% agree with what you just said. But
Well,
the language.
well, that's why
that
we're
you
doing the
all-
language.
I'm going by the language that you voted on. So some of these things that look that way are based on the language that you voted on. I agree with what your intent is 100%.
Well, the intent of what we're trying to do is get it to the voters what we intended. So,
And I'm just
the
explaining why the
question-
language is the way it is.
okay, well, that's fine. But what I think is that the question didn't quite get the intent of what we were trying to say, which was that the budget should reflect the requirements of the charter. Because we got into this whole problem on the sidewalk fund and things like that. So, I mean, I'm just offering the language up. If nobody wants it, that's fine. I mean, but what I would say is that shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to satisfy funding requirements required by charter when adopting the city budget? I think whether we said that or not, that was the intent of what we were trying to say, I believe.
Well, there's a big difference between satisfy and review.
I understand that.
But that's not what you voted. You did not vote to satisfy. You said to review. That was
Yes, we
pretty
vote, that
specific.
is true.
But that,
And I think
but what
you're
we're trying to
changing it
do,
based on, satisfying is a whole different story than review. Now you're
Well,
doing
I
a
think we-
requirement that's not the way that ordinance was written nor brought up to the board. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm not sure that that's an acceptable
Right,
change.
well, I mean, what we agreed to was, add a requirement to the budget process to review charter for funding requirements. That was what we required. I mean, there might have been a intent that went beyond that, but the city attorney cannot read minds
Review is
here.
a big, I mean, that
Yes.
was the word that was used.
And so,
well, I understand that, but do you guys, Mike, do you guys agree that the intent was that we wanted them to budget the charter requirements?
Yeah, because I understand, I don't disagree with you, John, is that when you have a budget requirement that the charter says you have to do, review and funding are apples and oranges.
I'm just saying, my belief was.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Okay, so, I mean, to review, it's like, okay, we looked at it, great, we looked at it. That's, it's kind of, they can slough it off, is what I'm saying.
so we have the changes for the charter in the ordinance, correct? So we can't change those. And the wording in that reflects what the attorney has here. If we need to
Well,
make
if
it
we
more
can-
specific, we're really stuck doing it next round.
Could we, Attorney Salzman, if they want to explain more of the intent, they could put it in the summary, is that correct?
Yes.
Without a requirement, but they could explain more in the summary.
The summary that goes out, not with the ballot.
That's correct.
Would that,
Just an option.
I mean, that's an option. I could tell you that I'm not sure that legally you can change review to satisfy. I mean, that's,
Is there a place for a narrative to be added?
yeah, that's what we're talking about, yes.
yeah.
There is a place for a narrative to be
So
added.
John, how do we adopt a narrative then?
I mean, we could put in the narrative exactly what you're saying,
What the intent is.
which
All
is
right,
the
so-
intent to have them to satisfy the charter requirements for funding. No problem putting that in there.
Where is my copy? Let's note that.
Hey, John?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Mike.
Would the narrative, I guess, because we can't go back and
Right.
peel the onion back on this, but adding the narrative kind of lets them know, because even as a lawyer, when we look at statutes, and the statutes have a purpose, the purpose have teeth. And would you agree with that, Mr. Sullivan?
100%.
Okay, so
Where would the narrative be though, Mike?
The narrative goes out to the
To the
public.
voters.
Oh, I see. Separately.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. You know, as you know, we have limitation on words, number of words and those things, but I'm just telling you, John, I feel very uncomfortable changing that word.
Right, and, yeah, all of my documentation supports what Mr. Salzman is saying.
I don't disagree with that, Chair, but I just think in the narrative gives us gives the whether it's the public, the ability to, you know, call it what, cram down or cram down that funding requirement that the charter, the funding requirement we're discussing.
Yeah, that's fine, Mike, whatever.
Well, I'm just,
Okay, so I'm putting a note here when we get to the narrative to expand charter item number 5 for intent. Okay,
Okay.
all right, because that's basically the best we can do right now.
So,
Okay,
Andy, so Andy, we can't change any of the questions? Is that the idea?
You can, if we've written the question to a way that it is not clear, or, you know, if there's one or two words you want to change, that's one thing. But if it's a major word like that, then I would say you cannot.
Okay.
I mean, there might be things that Irene and I missed. We're not perfect. We think we went through them, and we went through them based on the notes that we had, so.
right, I guess
Okay.
from John, from my perspective, we've got the charter language that's been through ordinance, and the question it reflects the charter language, which we
does.
requested to change. So the
Right.
question needs to reflect that, and but we can expand in the narrative what our true intent was.
and I'll do it in the form of a motion.
Please do.
Okay. So I make a motion to accept the number 5 charter amendment as presented, but also in the narrative to require in the narrative that the commissioner must also satisfy the funding requirements based on the charter requirements. How would,
That the intent of this section.
The intent of the section
Is to
is
say
that-
what you just said.
yeah. So you'll put it in nicer words than I just said.
Oh, I can't put it in nicer words.
Okay, so this motion addresses the proposed draft charter question number 5, and the summary of amendments, charter item number 5.
Yes.
Okay, it covers both, and just to be completely clear. All right? Any other dialogue? Call the vote, please.
I need a second.
Oh, needs a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tina.
Dr. Gabels?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskoudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yeah.
Chair
oh,
Root?
Sorry.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, next one. Enumerating powers, responsibilities, and duties of the Board of Commissioners. Sponsored by Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently provides for the Board of Commissioners to review and update all elements of the comprehensive and master plans every 3 fiscal years. Shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to review, update, retire, abandon, or deem completed all city master action, sustainability, comprehensive, and strategic plans every 5 years? Any comments? I have one. This one covers really 2 very specific issues. One is changing the annual review cycle, and 2, expanding the charter requirement to conclude the other plans. And I don't feel that that's well represented in this paragraph.
You know, I looked at this one and I debated that back and forth. And what my thought process was, is that this was trying to say, yes, we're laying out, which they probably don't know, are additional plans every 5 years. But then I thought, well, what are we going to do? We're going to say, we're going to add these plans to the requirement of the charter and then say we're going to require the charter to review them every 5 years. Yeah, I guess we could do it that way. I thought this was a good one to combine, but whatever you all want to do, that's why I did it this way.
I'll like your comments back from the commission. John, do you have a comment?
Plus, I was trying to lessen how
Make it
many
quick,
charter questions.
Carrie, what was
I'm sorry?
your concern on it, Carrie?
I think there are 2 distinct issues in this one. One, that we're expanding the review cycle from 3 to 5 years. 2, we're
Okay.
adding sustainability and strategic planning to the comprehensive and master plan.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
the other issue I had with this is, what if you approve one and not the other? So how do I write the second question?
So if
Well,
if you approve the additional plans, then the additional plans go in at,
But how do I write the second question? The second question would say,
this,
plans that are reviewed the actual question that you're expanding from 5 years is the comprehensive and master plans, because the other plans don't exist for purposes of review.
in the charter. Yes,
the
you're
charter.
right. Okay, so this is how I would recommend you consider it. So everything stays the same except the question. The first question would be, shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to review, update, retire, abandon, or deem completed all plans every 5 years?
But when we talked about it, we named all of those plans.
Okay, well, hold on. Then the second question would say, shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to include sustainability and strategic planning in part,
Your first
As-
question
as a part
is too broad. Your first question says all plans. All plans that could be
Yeah.
anything. They have to be delineated. That's why you delineated them. I don't know how you can divide the questions up and get what you want.
Would you take the sustainability? I mean, we currently have a strategic plan.
Right, and the only reason why those plans are in there is for the 5-year purpose. Let's just assume that that paragraph fails. So what would happen? We would still have those 2 plans reviewed every 3 years.
The city master plan and the strategic plan.
Right.
Okay, so if you took out, I know you're changing it, the word action, sustainability, comprehensive plan, those which, sustainability, there's no sustainability plan.
Right, we're basically making the sustainability plan by you're requiring this.
Okay, so would we put in here, and any other plan adopted under this ordinance?
I have a suggestion. I think that's kind of where I'm going with this. What if we,
Under the charter.
why can't you have an and there? Shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to review blah, blah, blah? Or should they require the Board of Commissioners to also include the sustainability and strategic plans in the review, update, retire, abandon, and deem completed cycle? And should that cycle be increased to 5 years? If you're gonna have it in one, I think you just need to be very specific about what you're asking them to do. So we're putting in 2 additional plans and we want them to do it every 5 years.
So but your and creates 2 questions.
Well,
That
no, well,
delineates 2 separate questions.
what is the difference between what you have and what I just said, except I
word
think
and.
mine is
The
clearer?
word and creates a second question.
Well, I want to.
Well, let me see if
Okay.
that's clarity then.
All right.
All right. So if you get to the charter should be amended, require the Board of Commissioners to review, update, retire, amend, or deem completed all city master plans and master plan, strategic plan, and and this is where you have a problem with the word and any other adopted plans within the charter.
Oh, that's good.
I don't think I have a problem with that, other than you didn't suggest those plans when you were specific on the plans you wanted. We combined this one, remember, this is a combination of a bunch of different plans that you individually
Right.
decided were necessary. So now you're expanding it to plans, and not that I can think of any off the top of my head, but you're expanding it to plans that you didn't discuss.
No, that's true.
So this way it gives us an out.
So you're adding something that wasn't, I mean, I believe the way this one came off on the ordinance was very specific, because you all were very specific as to what plans you wanted to include. So now you're adding all plans.
Because the action and master plan, if you look, I pulled up, I don't know if you
I mean, I guess I could write it this way, something along the lines of all the plans that are up there, and say, and should the plans be amended, should, go to the 5 years.
Well, the 5 years is separate from the number of plans. That's my issue.
And I could probably do it by doing a question, but it's gonna have to reference the question above it.
in the prior, I just pulled up the prior charter, it didn't mention like the strategic plan and all those.
Why could you not have something that says something like the
What I
charter
said.
amended to require the Board of Commissioners review, update, retire, blah, 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 blah.
And any other.
Charter
adopted plan.
plans every 5 years. So that takes it from 3 years to 5 years.
Because you
And we
never,
just say
because,
charter
because you were
plans.
definitive on your plans and you weren't definitive, you didn't broaden it to charter plans. I don't know what that includes, but that's not what you
Charter
voted on.
specified plans.
But that's not what you,
Okay.
that's not what you provided. You provided these, I'm not trying to be, I'm just telling you
No,
the
no,
problem
that's
with,
okay.
with the question. I'm not trying to be, stop you from getting across what you want, but these plans were specific.
Okay, well, we'll leave it to them to figure out. But can we change the title?
Yeah, what do you want to change it to?
Inclusion of additional plans and change of review date.
Okay, you have to describe what section you're dealing with.
How
So
many
we
words
could
do we
put
have?
some-
15
Yeah,
or
15
75?
words.
15.
So we could do duties of the boards, probably duty of the Board of Commissioners, and then put what you just said.
Plan review.
Right. To include.
Okay,
I could do it that way.
yeah, that would be
Yeah, no
good.
problem. We just have to have a general description of what section it is. And I think we could do it that way.
Okay,
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Where are we?
so updating the title, and right now we're at standstill on changing the paragraph.
No, I can probably do what you want, but I'm gonna have to reference the question above. Something along the lines, I'm just throwing it out here, should,
So the review
If
cycle.
if the charter is amended to require the commissioners to review, update, retire, blah, 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 can this be, should it be increased from 3 years to 5 years?
Yes, perfect.
I could do that, but I'm just telling you, I have to reference the one above it.
That's,
Okay, that's not a
that's
problem.
acceptable to me. And can we have the title?
This was I combined them. It
hard.
wasn't an easy one to deal with.
Well,
How's this gonna work with, we're not gonna write a narrative on this one, right? And it's in the same info that we've given the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, I mean, you're still doing what you did. I mean,
And
you
the-
haven't changed that.
The ordinance.
Right, you haven't changed, you're still doing what you did in the ordinance.
Yes, can you expand, though, the intent of the section is to include the sustainability and strategic planning
Oh, yeah.
as the review process, and to allow the city to increase the review cycle.
Oh, yeah, no,
for
that's
5
that's
years.
absolutely, that's
Okay, so
the intent of
we
this.
can expand that then.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Expand for, because, yeah, okay, for intent. Okay, so
And again,
can you,
I tried to combine the two on purpose, so I
okay,
can tell you
well,
that.
would you summarize where you think you can take this so that we can put a motion to accept that and then move forward?
All right, so we're gonna change the title.
Yes.
And we're gonna take it basically from, it'll be duties of the Board of Commissioners to include the additional plans that we talked about, okay? And so we're basically gonna stop the question at, and strategic plans, question mark, okay?
Yes.
And we're gonna do another one that's going to say, trying to think what I'd say as a title, increasing the
Review cycle,
review cycle from 3 years to 5 years.
right.
And then we will say, sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, and we'll put in the next sentence that should the plans, just off the top of my head, should the plans have been increased, should the cycle turn? I'll reference the question above. I just can't tell you how I'm going to say it. But I know exactly what we'll do.
I know how you do and that you know how to do it, but supposedly voting for the last time on something
Well,
that we may say or not say?
want
No.
me to take a minute to write it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
hold on. You want the specifics on the title changes?
Just like the public's gonna get it.
well, he can go back and read and look at the video
That's the
to
case,
get that correct.
Chairman. That's the case. Could I go use the restroom?
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. I don't have to. I just want to make sure I got permission.
It's not that I don't trust him to do it properly. It's just that
Okay, I don't take it
we're
personal.
charged with voting something that is agreed
We're not
upon.
voting at the table. We've got to.
We can't hold on. We gotta work through this stuff.
We can come back to this at the end. We can keep moving.
No, if we have to vote, we need a quorum here.
There's 4 of us.
Going forward.
Right now.
Questions.
He's leaving for 4 o'clock meeting, so I don't want
It can't be 2 out of 3.
to,
No.
it can't even be 3 out of 3. It has to be 3 out of 4.
Just done by the end of the day.
We'll have it.
Still.
So I mean, I went through these online and there's not a lot.
No, I'm pretty good with almost all of them.
The charter. We battered these to death, kind of.
Wasn't there something in our, showing us what the Board of Commissioners has asked to delete? Was that previously? Or
No.
I thought that was new.
So the bottom line is, right now, they can't delete anything, and we can't delete anything.
We can't either.
The only thing they can do is put in alternate proposals.
I see.
So,
New voters.
right.
I see.
The charter
And
amendment.
they will be doing that.
Yeah.
They're on one item. The requirement for the directors to have a residency requirement.
Oh, really?
Okay. Now it's- Even though,
Hey guys, could you talk into the mic? I can barely hear you.
well, we're talking about you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, all right, sorry. I was talking in Tina's general direction. I apologize.
So the title should read this way: Duties of the Board of Commissioners to review city master action and sustainability plan. And the reason that is like
that's
that is
okay.
those are the,
'Cause of the
I'm
original.
limited to 15 words.
That's all right. No, it's good.
All right. So then the question will be on this one, the city charter presently, okay. Shall the charter be amended to require the Board of Commissioners to review, update, retire, abandon, or deem completed all city master action, sustainability, comprehensive, and strategic plans?
Yes.
Okay. Now the second question.
Review cycle.
Duties of, right. Review, well, we still have to say duties of the Board of Commissioners, to review plans, to increase review from 3 years to 5.
The review process.
Review process. Wait for
From
Irene
3
to
years to
type it
5
in.
years.
Irene.
Are you typing it in?
Starting, but y'all are going back and forth.
Sorry.
No.
Duty of the Board of Commissioners to increase the review process from 3 to 5 fiscal years.
3
Let's
years
see,
to 5 years. I wanted to say from 3 years to 5 years, because you put from 3 to 5 years, that seems
Right,
like
from 3 years to
5
to
Yeah, but he's limited in
10,
to only
7,
15
12,
words.
15.
That's less, okay.
from 3 to 5 years. That's
Yeah,
15.
Okay.
Am I right? To yeah, 15. Okay. All right. Sponsored by the Charter Review Commission. The city charter presently provides for the Board of Commissioners to review and update. Shoot.
Is a number considered a word?
Yes. The only thing is
If you put the number 3, that's considered a word.
yes.
I think.
No,
you
we got
just-
15. We're good there. I'm just trying to think. Okay. Just trying to reference the one above. Okay, here's my question to you. Let's assume 2 things now. Let's assume, number 1, that the one above fails.
Mhm.
So you still want to increase 3 years to 5 years.
Yes, I mean, Renee really was behind that. That was her request.
So then we might be able to do this by referencing the charter section by number. Which where the charter would be, should be the city charter.
By section number?
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
plans that are in that section
Right.
can be used as the language for the plans. I mean, we could use generally the word plans if we're referencing it to the section that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So we could probably be broader and say, the city charter presently provides for the Board of Commissioners to review and update
May I offer suggestion?
You could actually increase the review process to every 5 years.
Can we say
Get out the
specific?
word.
Yeah.
Process to every 5 years.
Yeah, how about, shall the charter be amended to update the review process to every 5 years? And you leave the second sentence in there, because that's what's in the city charter.
Right.
But then we just update from we were specific about, it's the planning
But how do we
process
reference the ones
that's
that are,
updating.
that if you pass it? So the,
To review plans in paragraph, whatever it was.
But I just have a quick question. So if the first question doesn't pass,
It won't matter if you're referencing the paragraph.
right, but there's different paragraphs that it's currently in.
right, if you, that's the problem. If it doesn't pass, we still are trying to increase the two.
Yet how you would have to pinpoint all those paragraphs because the strategic plan is in a different paragraph. the
Which is what you
comprehensive plan-
guys originally talked about doing, and we removed, so we added at the last discussion to put all those in one
Yeah, we
question.
combined it in one, so that's what I'm saying, if you're gonna separate the question and the first question doesn't pass for some reason, then how do you do the review? You would have to reference all those sections that are currently in the code in different sections, or different. Comprehensive is in one.
Do we have to specify the plans or can't we just reference the review process?
Well, I was trying to think of some language that would deal with that, which would be, maybe if we put something along the language of,
Like here in age, the comprehensive plan was 3 years. If you look at the strategic plan, they're not all 3 years.
I mean, and it's also aligned with dates. There's all kinds of stuff in there that is not represented in this paragraph.
right.
So why do we have to why can't we just talk about the process? Modify the review process from 3 years to 5 years, length of time.
Why even go from 3 to 5? Why not just say duties of the board to increase the review process to 5 years?
Okay, yeah.
That works for me.
I'm not worried about that part. I'm worried about trying to get the question in anticipation of passage and or failure of the one before it.
How about the charter, if you got rid of a couple words, duties of the Board of Commissioners to increase the review process from 3 to 5 years, instead saying duty of the Board of Commissioners to increase the review process of charter plans in 5 years? Or charter, you take out some words and add others, you may still have 15.
Just call it the planning process.
That would cover all of them.
Charter.
I'm not worried about covering all of that. I'm worried about covering more than that.
So if you were able to get the word in charter, the adopted charter plans for 5 years. So plans that aren't adopted, it still goes to 5 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. I mean, because what's
I don't
in
know if it's
that?
15 words, but duties of the board of directors to increase.
Why don't we just
Plan
say,
review
change that
process?
second
Plan-
sentence?
Plan
that-
review process?
Yeah,
but-
change,
but it's
change,
more comprehensive than a plan.
I'm trying to get to,
Charter.
something along the lines of.
Adopted, you said
any
adopted
Charter.
plans,
under section
Adopt- charter
yeah,
plan.
I mean, that makes sense.
adopted charter plans.
So,
for
so
5 years.
if,
Yeah.
if you change,
That
the-
might
oh, I
be it.
can't read that. If you change the, if you change the second sentence for the second question, you can just say the city charter presently provides for the board, the review process for the plans in section 8 to be updated every 3 fiscal years.
I'd probably put section 8 at the beginning. The charter currently under section 8 and state what section 8 says, Board of Commissioners, compensation requires review of plans every 3 years. Shall the charter be amended to increase that to every 5.
5 years. Yes, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
it's
That's
just-
exactly
it's
what
just
we
doing
want.
the sentence before it that I'm
Yeah.
trying to reference. I wanted to see if we leave it in that section, that it's only referencing plans under section 8,
Right.
and then we're good.
Yeah, I think that does it. All right, are we in agreement with where we're going on
Well,
this now?
here's what I wrote, and I don't know that
Okay,
that maybe this, to increase the review of adopted charter plans to 5 years. So how many words is that?
What?
Of adopted charter plans to 5 years.
well, it would be the plans in section 8.
Then they're gonna have to know what section 8 means.
Oh, he'll put the words on.
Well, say, I could have the section 8 part in the body. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the title the way you have it now. I mean, the title is, we know we're increasing review process. Then in the question, we're gonna say, section 8 of the charter current, and then say what it says, which is duties of the commissioners, requires, plans to be reviewed every 3 years. Shall the charter be amended to change, or to increase the review requirement contained under section 8 to 5 years?
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
fine.
it.
I just
That is
wanna
it. You've
reference-
got it, you've got it.
I
Okay.
make a motion what you just said.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so this motion is, that's for the second question, and then we had the first question as well that addresses the specific additional plans. Correct? All right, and you're including that in your motion? Yes, all right. With the updates of the titles as well. So we're splitting to 2 questions, one for the specific plans that we're increasing, and 2 for the lengthening the review cycle for all plans in section 8. We're gonna update the titles appropriately and just confirm that that's the scope of your motion.
That is the scope of my motion.
Thank you. Is it seconded?
Second.
Okay. Call the vote, please.
Discussion, please.
Yes.
Can we, I'm uncomfortable with that, okay? Not because it's wrong, it's not wrong. But I would like to see our attorney have this all written out and be read to us with not a lot of interjections that we're getting now. I'm just trying to understand exactly what I'm agreeing on. And we can go forward with this because the next 3 or 4 pages are pretty simple, I think.
Yeah, I can write it out. I have no problem doing that.
Okay.
I'm
That-
just- I'm
We
just-
can do it. We're
I'm-
gonna be here as long as it takes.
Yeah, no, I'm working on it now as we're
Okay.
talking.
Okay.
You can, feel free to go
Yeah, go
keep
forward.
on if you, especially if they're ones, because we have a time limit and I don't want
Okay.
to pass that and I'm just going to be writing this, so interrupt me if there's a question.
Okay, so I am going to pause the vote on that until we can see it and go on to number 7. Okay, qualifications and dates for annual election. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently does not contain language specifying the qualifying time for city commission elections. Shall the charter be amended to provide for qualifying time for 30 days for the office of city commission? Are there any suggested changes, Joan?
I'm good.
Okay, I did have a question. Is it the qualifying time of 30 days or for 30 days? Yeah, I did too. And is it for the office of city commission or the office of city commissioner?
Commission, because you're including the mayor in there.
Okay. But changing for to of?
Question,
Yes.
and this is just grammar cop stuff. City commission in the last thing, city is not capitalized. I've noticed at most places,
Oh,
city
yeah,
is capitalized.
Okay, so actually in your charter, it's not capitalized. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
I always want city capitalized. I think it's incorrect to have it lowercase. Now, I will tell you that the computer thinks it should be lowercase. Do it however you want. I personally believe city should be capitalized.
Let's capitalize it.
I just want consistency.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the charter, number 7 charter amendment as read, with the exception of capitalizing the word city and changing the word for to of.
Is it seconded?
Second.
Okay, let's see if there's any further discussion on that, and let's go to our, John, do you have a issue or a comment?
No,
Okay, Joan, you said you were good.
good.
Jim, you're good? Everybody's good? All right, can we call the vote, please?
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Number 8, charter amendment, qualifications and date for annual election. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter does not specifically notify registered voters prior to the qualifications as to which commission seats are open for election. Shall the charter be amended to provide registered voters notification by first-class mail 30 days before qualifying the specific commission seats open for election? Discussion. I just, this has a duplicative title to the prior one. Could the title be changed for qualification?
It's only because it's under the same section and
Okay.
they cross over. That's the only reason
All
why I
right,
put
no,
it.
that's
You
all
can
right.
change it. I just want to tell you why.
All right, well, I was just gonna suggest maybe we include notification of open seat.
Whatever you want to change the title to is fine.
Should any kind of electronic media be included?
No, we said,
No, this
we
is
said that we
included
do
by-
that, we removed that.
Yeah, I mean,
We said we do it, you removed that from the last
Right.
meeting we had.
Okay, I apologize. I don't have my notes in front of me.
That's
hey,
okay.
John, don't worry about it.
Move for approval.
Hmm?
Are we making a motion?
Yeah, the question was, should we leave the title the same or add in notification of open seats for an annual election?
Well, if we do that, should we have changed the title for the previous one?
No, because you've got qualifications and dates up there.
Okay.
That one made sense.
All right.
I have a problem getting notification of open election for open seats for annual election. That's what
You like, yeah.
Fine.
Okay. John, did you have anything to say? Did I ask you that already? I don't think so.
I'm good.
Okay, you good. John, you're good? All right.
Yep.
All right, I need a motion.
Jim, motion, but is it, you're changing the motion to change the title to notification of open seats for annual election?
So we're
Okay.
only changing the title.
Only changing the title.
Okay,
and the
and
paragraph
if
is
you'll
yours.
write that down.
You've got it written down.
Notification of open seats for annual election.
All right,
Okay, thank
okay.
you.
And paragraph is staying the same. All right. Is it seconded?
Second,
You made the motion, you can't second.
you made the motion. Ask
You
him to
made
amend
the
his motion.
motion? Okay, I'm sorry about that, Jim.
Ask him to amend his motion.
Okay. Let's call the vote.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskudis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
Chair-
Yes. All right, number 9, interference with administration. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter contains redundant language regarding individual commissioners' contact with the city manager. Shall the charter be amended to remove the redundant language? Comments?
I don't ever remember, maybe I was asleep that day. I don't ever remember discussing this.
Oh, you must have been out that day.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah,
we
no, I
discussed that.
I remember it, yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember.
no, there's,
I don't understand, maybe we could title it different, interference with administration. It looks like,
It's the section that's the title of
Okay.
the charter section.
okay.
So I'm happy if you want to change that. I just put, that's the title.
What section is that? Just as a question.
9.
Are you talking in the current charter?
Yeah.
1 second and I'll tell you. I think it's I want to say, 13.
Okay, thank you, because okay, remove last sentence.
And y'all kept the,
Was section 13, we
Right.
removed the last sentence, and so that's, let me read you the last sentence.
would you like me to read it?
They'll be amended to remove. I don't have a problem with the thing. It's the interference with administration.
Yeah,
It just the
It
optics.
was in there twice.
I know,
so-
but it just the optics of
I
interference. with-
know, I gotcha.
Well, do you want to qualify it with just remove redundant language? Then people
Well,
immediately grasp what it is.
so what's in there, John, just so you know, it's, we've got 2 back-to-back paragraphs, sentences that are like paragraphs. So the first one is, nothing in the foregoing is to be construed to prohibit individual commissioners from closely scrutinizing by questions and personal observations all aspects of city government operations so as to obtain independent information, system members, and formulation of solid policies
Redundancy.
considered by the Board of Commissioners. Okay, so that's the first one. And then the second
Redundancy implies to me something.
the
quite
second one
different.
was, it's the express interest of the charter, however, that recommendations for improvement in city operations in the jurisdiction of the city manager by individual commissioners made to and through the city manager, so that the manager may coordinate efforts of all city departments to achieve the greatest possible savings through the most effective and sound means available. We were striking that one. So, do we agree that that should be described as interference with administration? I think that is the question. And the paragraph is called interference with administration.
That's not a hill I'm going to die over, but I think what the question is, it's just a removal of redundant language. So maybe we title that the removal of redundant language
Section 13.
under section 13.
Okay, can we do that?
No hill for me.
So
Whatever you
Removal
guys
of
wanna do.
redundant language.
under section 13. So I'll if it's the chair's okay, I'll make a motion to accept the provision with the exception of the title to be named removal of redundant language under section 13.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
Dr. Devine?
Yes.
Mr. Katsoulis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Number 10, legal review of noncompliance issues. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently does not require a legal review of noncompliant issues raised in the city's internal audit. Shall the charter be amended to require a legal review of any noncompliant issues raised by the internal audit? Any discussion on the title of the paragraph? I'd like to see added up to the title, found in, by internal audit.
I would go with that. Again, I think clarity, the more clarity, the better, and just look at it.
John, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Okay. Joan?
Fine by me.
Okay.
Did you say by or in?
I'm sorry?
Did you say by internal audit or?
I thought
in?
found by internal auditor.
Found by an internal auditor.
The reason I didn't use auditor Sorry, the reason I use auditor is what if it's just found in the audit?
Okay, by internal audit.
You know, I went back and forth on that.
All right, audit is fine.
That's fine. Okay,
So I'll make a motion to accept Charter Amendment number 10, and it's with the exception of the title to read legal review of non-compliant issues found by an internal audit
By Ian
and
internal?
AN.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I didn't hear
By
you say
an
that
internal
originally.
all right. Second, and seconded,
Yes.
okay. Call the vote, please.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskoudas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 11.
You want to
Prior-
go back to this one?
Yeah,
I
let's
was
go,
doing?
let's clear that, let's clear that table.
All right, here's the question. Here's the section as I have it. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission. City Charter, Section 8, Board of Commissioners, composition, duties, responsibilities, and powers requires the Board of Commissioners to review and update plans every 3 fiscal years. Shall the charter be amended to increase the review and update to every 5 fiscal years?
That's fantastic.
Motion to approve that, whatever number that is.
That would, yeah, we have to read.
Well,
Okay.
we're gonna have to
6A.
renumber them anyway.
Okay. Motion to approve that as read.
Seconded,
Second?
call the vote.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Kaskoudas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Do we have the second one ready yet?
That was the
That
second.
was the second
was
one.
the
I just,
I'm sorry, the other
we'll go
one.
back in.
You have to go back to the first one. I thought we already wrote that one. Yeah, that's the first one.
We took out every 5 years.
And we just added the duties
Duties
of
of the
Board of
Board of-
Commissioners plan
Yes,
review.
that's true, we already approved that.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, so I'm back with you.
Now we're back to number 11.
okay, number 11, all right. Prioritizing future capital improvement programs. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter authorizes the city manager to keep the Board of Commissioners fully advised as to the financial condition and future needs of the city. Shall the charter be amended to require the city manager to prioritize future capital improvement programs? Any discussion on the title or the paragraph?
One, there's a distinction between policy and administration, and it seems to me that the policy of prioritizing if all the plans are presented by the city manager to the Board of Commissioners, that it's a policy to prioritize the capital improvement programs, and that would be it should require the Board of Commissioners to prioritize future capital improvement programs.
No, not under that. No, the discussion was total, well, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but this section was solely under the requirements of the city manager. And that's what the discussion
Right,
was. and
but
that
I'm not
was-
saying, Andy, I'm saying the city manager provides the list of projects, the capital improvement projects, and the city commission decides what is the most important for the community.
And I agree with you.
Well, evidently you don't.
No, but that's not that's not what I'm trying to say is that's not what you discussed under this section. This is exactly what you discussed under this section.
Okay, so what we discussed, if you go to section 16, paragraph
G.
G, okay, I'm looking at F. It's actually in 2 sections. It's in F and G. It says, prepare and submit the annual budgeting message and capital improvement program to the Board of Commissioners in a form provided by ordinance or by law. And what we changed there was to add, prepare and submit the annual budget message and prioritize seeing the capital improvement program to the Board of Commissioners in a form provided by ordinance or law. And then we went to the next section to say, keep the Board of Commissioners this is what it was. Keep the Board of Commissioners fully advised as the financial condition and future needs of the city and make such recommendations to the Board of Commissioners concerning the affairs of the city. And that was changed to include, to prioritize capital projects based on need and useful life after future needs of the city.
Right, John, I don't think, this is under section 16, which is city manager. So that's why it's limited to the city manager. You can't put you'd have to go back to section 8 to do what you wanted. And I'm not saying that that's not appropriate. I'm just saying we're under the city manager section. That's where you put this. This was a requirement.
Well,
These oh, sorry. I was going to say, this follows under the duties of the city manager, and that's why we're changing that provision of this section
But-
as to only the duties of the
Right.
city
But,
manager.
but what John is saying is that it's the responsibility to prioritize falls with the Board of Commissioners. And what this paragraph says is that the city manager makes recommendations for that prioritization process. So that, I think that is the part that's missing
But what
here.
you said, but this is what you said. You said to require the city manager to prioritize future capital improvement programs. That's what you.
No, it says make such recommendations to the Board of Commissioners. Here, it says right here, it says add prioritizing capital projects based on needs and useful life after future needs of the city. So it would be keep the Board of Commissioners fully advised of the financial condition and future needs of the city, prioritizing future capital expenditures and make such recommendations to the Board of Commissioners concerning the affairs of the city. So I think there's an aspect here that's the
No,
recommendation.
you recommended adding language that the city manager shall prioritize capital improvement programs. That's what you guys voted on from our notes.
Well, Kerry, I could live with your comment of recommending prioritizing. The city manager recommends, his list is a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, but clearly the final arbiter in capital improvement projects, the priority and expenditure of funds is the city commission.
Right, okay, so I think this is one we're gonna have to explain in the intentions, because
And I think you
the
had some
adopted words.
discussion on the fact that the city manager is the one who has knowledge of all the capital improvement programs.
How about this?
I'm sorry, if I recall correctly, and that
Yes.
you wanted to make sure that he recommended, I understand recommended, by prioritizing future capital
Got the
improvement.
fix.
That's what you guys were talking about.
There you go.
I got the fix. Okay. Shall the charter amendment be amended to require the city manager to recommend a prioritization?
I don't have a problem with that, but
Future
that-
capital improvement
I don't
programs.
think that was the language you guys used, but if that's what you want to say.
Well, it's got, Mike, it's got to have the recommending in there, because otherwise you're creating a turf war between the city manager and the Board of Commissioners. The city manager reads this thing and says, hey, I'm in charge of prioritizing this stuff.
Oh, okay.
You're creating a turf war, Andy.
The only thing I was saying is that what you all discussed is that the commission doesn't keep in place all, in fact, if I recall correctly, this is the discussion. The city commission doesn't always know what all the future capital improvement programs are. That
I
you
can't
wanted the
believe
city
that.
Manager to
don't
prioritize
believe
that
that.
list so that the city commission could look at it and approve how they wanted the programs in place.
If the city commission doesn't know the entire capital improvement program, there shouldn't be a city commissioner.
It changes. That's a constant change.
Let's look at it
Yeah.
realistically. The city manager makes a budget. He gives it to the Board of Commissioners, and they decide then where they want that monies. They will clearly tell him, I think we need to wait on a new ball field, but we need to fix the sewer plant, put that money. That's how it normally
So
works.
Jim,
That's what you've written.
He has to.
right, that's what I wrote.
That's why he's
And
making
it's
the
right.
recommendation.
That's what the discussion we had.
Yes, it is.
I know that was the discussion we had.
Let's go with.
Carrie, I think the word that bothers me about all of this is require.
Okay, I should require it.
I think, or shall recommend
But that's what you
He
said.
should, no, no.
priorities of capital projects.
Okay, I think Mike's got the pulse on this, so let's
Okay.
hear what he has to say.
Okay, that the charter be amended to require the city manager to recommend the prioritization of future capital improvement programs.
That sounds good, Mike.
And then I'd like to see it expanded in the summary of amendments that, you know, the city manager
Oh,
has the
explaining what the-
knowledge
yeah, yeah.
basis to make those recommendations, although the Board of Commissioners is responsible for adopting the prioritization.
Did somebody say earlier that we can't change that?
Yes, we did.
All I can tell you is I wrote it how you guys.
No,
No,
no.
that's okay.
So I'm going to do this in the form of a motion,
You can do it as form of the motion. I would ask you to also
expand with the expansion.
summary.
Yeah. So I make a motion to accept Charter Amendment number 11 with the following change. Shall read, shall the city charter be amended to require the city manager to recommend the prioritization of future capital improvement programs. In addition, in my motion, I want the narrative to be expanded to reflect that the city, whatever language you want to use, that the city manager has is more knowledgeable or more intimate knowledge of the needs, the financial needs of the capital projects
And the
That's
needs
gonna
of
be
the
in the
city.
and the needs of the city.
Okay,
How does that sound?
it sounds great. Is it seconded? Second. Any further comment?
Just,
Yeah.
can I just mention what, you read this, okay, what the charter says. Keep the Board of Commissioners fully advised as to the financial condition and future needs of the city and make such recommendations to the Board of Commissioners concerning the affairs of the city. That's exactly what you just, you're saying the same thing. It's already in there. That's why you guys changed the language to the way I put it.
Yeah,
I
bad
remember
day.
this discussion,
Yeah, I remember that too.
because we read that, and we said that covers,
It does cover it.
right, so
It-
then
it
you
does.
don't need the question.
Just for conversation, does anybody in here think that the Board of Commissioners individually doesn't talk to the city manager and ask him
Okay,
what's going on and what's coming up?
I have to, I'm gonna table that comment.
It's okay. I don't mean it to be negative,
Well, it is
okay?
negative, so let's move on.
What I want to do is figure out now, are we going to rewrite this ordinance or not?
We are having a discussion about that. We have a motion on the table. We're having a
second.
discussion. Let's keep it to the terms here.
Well, you had a motion in a second, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, which means we can still discuss it. All right. Have a comment? Any comment? I know Jim wants to, and.
And
yeah,
my
just like we
comment
know
would, my comment would be that I think what was presented to us is adequate, and it's basically the same thing Mike is saying.
I think the only difference is, Jim, that we're telling him to make the recommendation of the priority and not him prioritizing. And by making the recommendation, that means it's got to go in front of the commissioners for approval. I think that's by adding the word recommendation. I had to reword it so recommendation is in there somehow with the priority.
Yeah, I mean, we're addressing John's comment that in terms of the role of, it's the role of the Board of Commissioners to actually adopt a prioritization. And so that's, I think, what needs to go in the summary amendment.
So prioritize is coming out, Mike, is that it?
No?
No,
It's
no.
not.
Shall the
Just-
charter
The word
be-
recommendation is going in
Yeah,
with prioritization. I just changed the word from priority to prioritization. I'll read it again. Shall the city charter be amended to require the city manager to recommend the prioritization of future capital improvement programs? So the only thing that's being different, substantive, not even substantive, is the word recommendation.
Right. So,
And I don't disagree with you, counsel, but that's, but when I start looking through this, it just,
In my opinion, that changes what you approve.
I'm good.
But that's just my comment.
you think that we took away the power of the Board of Commissioners to approve a prioritization?
No. The discussion you had
Yeah,
was to make the manager provide them
with
with,
the prioritized list.
not to recommend, but to provide them with that. We all know that the commission makes a decision. If it's just a recommendation, the language is already in there, but whatever you all want.
Well, no, what this was to expand this.
It's not to expand the recommendation, it's
It was
to,
to add it was to add the prioritization of future capital expenditures. It's the future capital expenditures that was not addressed in this paragraph.
right,
that
but
was
you're
what we
making the
wanted it
city
in.
manager prioritize them.
Yes, because he has the knowledge to do that.
Right, but not a recommendation. The recommendation is already his requirement.
Okay, so
To me, this is redundant to what's already there. And I remember this discussion because you all talked about that the city manager has his hand on this stuff at all times and that he needs to prioritize these future capital improvement programs because we're not getting them completed. I remember the discussion.
I got 25
okay,
minutes.
so if we read the discussion here, let's go back here. And it says there's.
Hey,
city
Hey,
manager-
Carrie.
Excuse me, John, just a second.
Yeah.
Fully advise the financial and future needs of the cities and make recommendations. The Board of Commissioners concerning the affairs. CRC recommends adding language that the city manager prioritize future capital improvement programs. And I think that needs to be expanded to say that because of his unique knowledge of the city and the city requirements.
But what you just read is what I wrote.
Yeah, yes, that's what I mean, but I'm saying that to expand that, to just to say that the city manager, the requirements putting on the city manager because he has knowledge of the needs of the city. However, the Board of Commissioners is responsibility of approval.
So let's back up
that
then.
list.
So let's back up. So if you change the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
then the question is fine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm putting
Which
forward.
I
Let's
don't have a
keep
problem with the narrative. I
So-
just.
So
I-
I-
Let's change the narrative and
so
keep. the
I'm
question.
going to withdraw my motion. Okay.
Too bad.
I'm going to make I'm going to make the motion to accept as read with the exception that the narrative, John, that the narrative has language in there based on the city manager's unique ability with regard to the determination of capital projects that he will not only prioritize them, but make a recommendation as to the priority to the city commission for approval.
Mike, the narrative doesn't mean anything. When the question is approved, that's what's going in the charter. You had it right the first time that the city manager, he does have the knowledge. He does have the knowledge of how to prioritize it. But it has to be a recommendation to the city commission, and they determine the policy of what's most important to the community. That's their job.
Right,
Not
right.
to-
John,
Not
we
taking that
understand
away.
that.
John, the narrative is important, John. John,
Andy, you're getting way too ahead of yourself. This discussion is with the committee. The recommendation, the city manager prioritizes it, and he recommends, here's what I think you guys should do. Here's where I think we're really deficient. We need to fix the sponge docks that's fallen in. We need to fix the seawalls around the bayou. And they say, well, okay, we're going to fix the bayou first, and we're going to fix the sponge docks later.
John, we got a pretty tight timeline. We got to get through the rest of this.
Yeah.
Okay, only thing, look, I was happy with Mike's, I was happy 20 minutes ago with Mike's motion to add the word recommending.
Mike's motion has been rescinded, so we
But
are
I
now
understand
talking.
that.
You're
wish
changing,
you put-
you're not revisiting these issues. The chair read what you as a board voted on.
Right.
I'm only writing what you voted on.
Right.
Well, how could we rewrite a whole paragraph and a whole narrative before?
John, I
It
don't
just
want to hit
depends on
your
who's
mute
bringing it
button,
up.
but you need to get quiet here for a minute. We've heard you, okay? We are not going in that direction. We're going to amend the
But you're changing the
summary.
intent.
At this point, I'm going to ask Mike to restate his motion. We'll see if it gets seconded, and then we're going to vote on it.
Just one comment. John, the narrative is important because just like any statute or anything you pass, the intent, there's legal ramifications when you put the intent of language as to the purpose of the amendment. And that's got teeth. It's got a lot of teeth. Because that's what you do when you look at legislative intent. When you look at statute, you go back and look at the legislative intent of that statute. That gives clarity when there's an ambiguity or a question on a statute. That's from a legal perspective. Now, with regard to my motion is to adopt number 11 as read, but expanding the narrative, which is important, as to require or to include language that references the city manager's unique ability to determine and prioritize capital projects and to recommend those capital projects to the commission for adoption or approval.
Yeah. Is that seconded? Yes. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Call vote, please.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Couscous?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Rube?
Yes. Number 12, residency requirement for the city manager, assistant city manager, fire chief, and police chief. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently requires the city manager in limited positions to establish legal residency in the city and allows the Board of Commissioners to temporarily excuse the residency requirements for up to 1 year. Shall the charter be amended to require the city manager, the assistant city manager, the fire chief, and the police chief to reside within the city's planning boundaries?
And we would explain planning boundaries in the narrative.
Yes.
Can I make a comment? Do we have an assistant? I thought we didn't have an assistant city manager.
Yeah, we left it in this section.
We do.
In the event
No, we
we have
don't.
one.
Right.
But y'all left
You,
it.
you, yes, you
Exactly.
specifically left that language
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
Why did I think it was a distance from City Hall rather than the planning boundaries?
That's the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any discussions, here? Any further discussion? All right, can I have a motion to adopt it as is?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote on this.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Couscous?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Rube?
Yeah,
And just for backup what I said earlier about the narrative, our narrative in this one has teeth.
Yes.
Okay, so it goes to show that when you put it in the narrative is, you can't put you couldn't put the requirements in this amendment.
No, I
So-
tried to.
So that's why the narrative is enforceable or has
No, it
teeth.
explains a lot under these
Yeah,
next two
and
questions.
so that just goes back to what I said on the previous amendment,
Yeah.
that the narrative is important.
right. Okay, now number 13, residency requirements for department heads and directors, sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission. The city charter presently requires certain directors to reside within the city and allows the Board of Commissioners to temporarily excuse the residency requirements for up to 1 year. Shall the charter be amended to require all department heads and directors to reside within 10 miles of Tarpon Springs City Hall? Any comments on that?
I think we beat this one to death.
Yeah,
It was actually really easy to write.
yeah.
So.
Move
Discussion,
for approval.
Second.
call the vote, please.
Dr. Buckavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskitis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 14, increase the authority to expend budget funds without competitive bidding. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city manager is currently authorized to spend only up to $25,000 on budgeted goods or services without competitive bidding. Shall the charter be amended due to increased costs of goods and services to increase the city manager's authority to $50,000? Any comment on the paragraph or title? I personally would like to see removal of the word only.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember why that language is put in there.
It was that your evil twin put that in there. Okay, yeah, can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve with the exception of removing the word only.
No, not with the exception, with the removal.
Removal.
Okay, with the removal.
Can that get, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Joan, did you have something?
No, I'm fine with that.
All right, call the vote, please.
Dr. Buckavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskitis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 15, increase the monetary requirement for competitive bids. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the charter currently limits all purchases of $25,000 or more for which bids are required to be competitively bid. Shall the charter be amended due to increased costs of goods and services to increase the amount to $50,000 for statutory competitive bids? Is there any comment on the title or the paragraph? Can I have a motion to accept as written?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Call the vote?
Dr. Buckavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskitis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
There.
Yeah. Number 16, financial statements. Sponsored by this Charter Revision Commission, the city posts all financial statements on its website and has hard copies available at City Hall. The charter currently requires financial statements to be made available at the office of the city clerk and quarterly financial statements at the library. Shall the charter be amended to remove the outdated requirements for posting financial statements? I would like to suggest changing posting to printing. Wasn't this about having them printed? We post them, they're online, but they're not, we're no longer going to be printing them. Isn't that what we
Maybe just
did?
remove the word posting. So we're removing the outdated requirement.
Well, I think today posting has a different.
Right, no, I agree with
Meaning.
you.
Made available online?
Oh, that's already there.
No, that's
We're just ending outdated statements. So
Right,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
I would prefer to include printing and not just take it out just because that is clearer, that it's the printing. Well, except that it says,
Not the posting,
Remove.
it's the
Yeah.
printing.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Or, okay.
I can't make that motion. Somebody else has to.
Well, that's what I
make
was
that.
going to do. I make a motion to accept charter number 16 to, the only change would be from posting to printing financial statements. To include the word printing instead of posting.
Any further comments? Please call the vote.
Is there a second?
Oh,
Second.
has it not been seconded yet?
Second.
Tina?
Okay. Dr. Buckavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Kuskitis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Okay. 17, number 17, providing for a sidewalk improvement plan. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the charter has a sidewalk improvement fund, but is silent as to a sidewalk improvement plan. Shall the charter be amended to require a sidewalk improvement plan by 2029 in place of the sidewalk improvement fund? Is there any discussion on the title of the paragraph?
How about the existing sidewalk improvement fund?
Where?
Shall the charter amended be required, shall require sidewalk improvement plan in place of the existing sidewalk improvement fund?
Oh, okay. I was gonna suggest that we strike everything after 2029.
Well,
We don't talk about,
you're removing,
we do not talk, we're allowing them to draw down the sidewalk improvement fund, but we don't talk about this being in place of the sidewalk improvement fund.
oh, I had notes that said that the fund was, maybe my notes could have been wrong. That's why I did it that way.
I don't think that's where we wanted to go with that one. Or sidewalks.
So my understanding that it was replacing the sidewalk improvement fund,
Yeah.
but if it's not, then
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
don't think
just from, because those funds in the sidewalk improvement fund are restricted funds for sidewalk improvement, when the existing plan goes, if the existing plan goes away, those funds go to the purpose
Right.
of its restricted use. Am I correct?
That was my understanding.
So this would replace, we
This-
talked about replacing the existing sidewalk improvement fund.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Yes. So whatever funding mechanisms that are still unspent funds would have to go, because they're restricted for sidewalks, would have to stay with the sidewalk improvement plan, or stay with sidewalks. That would be my understanding.
But the next charter amendment talks about the fund, the sidewalk improvement fund.
Yeah, they said that they have to start spending it.
Right.
This one says they have to start spending it.
You're adopting a new plan and you have to, the next one is you have to spend it.
Yeah, because we have one, but no one's
Correct.
spending it. This way says you got to spend
Yeah.
it, and maybe in 2029, they may not have the money.
Oh, by 2029.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Right, not immediately.
Does that make
So-
sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes, yeah, sorry.
I had here requirement to do plan by 2029. I have here the match 100K, withdraw 300K.
Yeah,
That's on the next one.
that's in
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but I'm summarizing it. I don't see anything here that says we're replacing one with another. That's my issue.
Well, the problem is you could end up with two.
You could, well, no, you wind up, you can have an improvement plan and an improvement fund. They're two different things.
I understand that, but if you do away with the plan, if you do away with the existing plan, okay? You do away with the existing plan, and it still has funds available. They're restricted funds. They're restricted for sidewalks.
Right.
So if they're restricted for sidewalks and you have a sidewalk improvement plan in by 2029, they're going to use those funds because they're restricted as part of any new sidewalk improvement plan. They can't use it for anything else.
Right.
So what the concern is, if you've got an existing plan that you still have resources in, and you adopt a new plan, you still got the old plan sitting on a shelf that has funds in it. So
No, we have a fund on the shelf with money in it.
right, so why?
But that fund does not have a plan associated with it. And that's the problem, because they're not doing comprehensive sidewalk planning. They're doing, what's the worst thing right now that someone's gonna
No,
hurt
they're
themselves on?
they're Band-Aiding.
They're Band-Aiding, that's right. So the plan was to get around the Band-Aiding and have a comprehensive plan for the city.
That's the next, this next one is for the Band-Aiding problem.
No, it's to give them money, access to more money from
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So
The hope was, because I think
the
we,
first one was to take the Band-Aids out and get a comprehensive plan. The second one is to give them access to money so they can action it.
Well, it sounds like this should be well explained in the narrative.
Yeah, it should be.
I think there's duplicity in the sidewalk issue with regard to coming up with a plan in 2029, but still having an existing plan that has funds available. We want to get rid of the old plan.
Well, if you read what is in the charter item 17 summary of amendments, This is spot on. Okay, that's correct. My issue here is that, the discussion here is you're asking the voters to replace the sidewalk improvement fund with a plan. And we did not, that is not what's in the charter, and should not be in the charter.
I seem to recall that you guys, or we wanted the fund depleted because, as Mike said, it's, restricted funds anyway. So they should really use that money and do, as complete a job as they can without, as you just put it, band-aiding it.
We are encouraging them to utilize the funds. You're absolutely right.
So-
We are not requiring them to deplete those
So
funds.
let's
There's
say-
a difference.
Okay, so let's say for argument, in 2029, they have a plan, okay? And you have you have the additional plan that has money in it. What do?
You don't have an additional plan with money in it. You have an additional fund with money in it. There's a
Okay.
difference between a fund and a plan.
So what do they do with the fund?
They spend it.
But if there's,
They spend
okay,
it.
how are they gonna spend it? They're gonna spend it they're gonna give it to whoever,
They're gonna spend it to the sidewalk improvement plan.
up to the plan.
Right.
So that means the existing, whatever they have that's existing, the existing charter language that talks about putting money aside has to go away.
That happened last time. The last charter review took away the requirement for the city to fund this, put money into the fund.
But you have two charter amendments that address sidewalks.
Here, yes.
If we adopt it, they vote for this, you'll have two charter amendments that address sidewalks.
Yes, okay, so take 2 steps back. We have a sidewalk improvement fund. It's actually fairly well funded right now. It's got like $1.7 million, but we're seeing that the mindset of the city is that, well, if we can only take $100,000 out, and it has to be matched, let's do $200,000 for the projects, maybe a little more if there's budget. Okay, so they're using that to limit their decision to invest in improving our sidewalks. So we discussed this and we decided, all right, well, let's get them motivated to spend more money on sidewalks. We'll let them put the $100,000 towards the budget. It's not going into the fund. It's getting expended out of the budget. Plus, then they get to take up to $300 out of the fund.
That's the next
And
one.
they can spend more. Okay, but wait a minute. That doesn't address the band-aiding, because the budget as it has been, and the sidewalk improvements that have been done up to this point have been Band-Aids. So we decided that what the city needed to do was come up with a comprehensive sidewalk improvement plan for the city, not just for, whatever they think is currently the worst problem, where there's a whole lot of worse problems around. So we wanted them to do that. We wanted it to be in place by 2029. And if there is funds still if there money still in the funds, they can use that until it's depleted. But at some point, the city has to move forward to execute improving the sidewalks throughout the city with a plan and not a Band-Aid.
I disagree with that. I don't disagree with you.
Okay, and that's where my objection is. We never talked about it, an improvement plan replacing the sidewalk improvement fund. If there's monies left, then it's in parallel until the funds are depleted. It's a non sequitur there. And as an engineer, it really bugs me. Okay. I would really like to have a motion that accepts this with removal of all words after 2029. Unless Attorney Salzman has to tell me I'm a mess, okay? No, he's not, he's all right, he's all right with that one.
This is not,
I'm on the hill.
okay.
I am on the hill on this one. What's Tina laughing about?
Said she was gonna make a motion.
If you're on the hill, I'm going to make a motion
Go ahead, Tina.
to accept this, but
Deleting.
delete the words after 2029.
Okay. Is it seconded? This is where it dies. Nobody's seconding it. Did you second
I'll
it?
second it,
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
just to get it to the vote.
Can we call the vote?
Dr. Bucalis?
Yes.
Mr. Katsoutis?
I almost say no. I agree with,
You agree with everything?
no,
I
no,
say, but you
I
can say
just,
no.
I think duplicity with having, no.
Okay. I'll get even.
Polianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. 18, providing for an increase in, can someone mute their phone, who's ever making that racket? Thank you. Providing for an increase in sidewalk improvement funding, sponsored by Charter Revision Commission. The city charter created a street and sidewalk fund to support street drainage and sidewalk improvements annually in the amount of $100,000. The Charter Revision Commission has determined the annual funds are insufficient. Shall the requirements of the sidewalk fund be amended to allow the Board of Commissioners to appropriate up to $300,000 annually for sidewalk improvements from the fund? Is there any discussion on this section? No, no comment. All right, can I have a motion to accept this as it stands?
Motion to accept as it stands.
Second.
Call a vote?
Yes.
Dr. Bucalis? Mr. Katsoutis?
Yes.
Mr. Polianis?
Yes.
And Chair Root?
Yes. Number 19, Charter Amendment Initiative and Referendum. Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently requires initiative petitions to contain verified signatures of at least 15% of the qualified electors required to vote at the last regular municipal election. Shall the charter be amended to reduce the percentage of qualified electors to initiate a petition to 10%? Discussion on the paragraph or title.
Does anybody have any history on this happening?
I'm sorry, that we've had any petitions?
Yes.
I could only tell you since I've been here, and that's going on 37 years, not to my knowledge, no.
I don't have any problem reducing it, but we're a very fortunate city that doesn't have any of that.
Well, I think when we look at it, there are what, 37, I'm sorry. I can't remember the numbers, were like,
For other municipalities?
yeah, how many qualified electors
Oh, currently,
are registered?
I think at the last election, there was, I think there was almost 20,000.
Yeah, I was remembering the number somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 that were required for.
I mean, it changes, it's whatever the last regular election is, and I don't know the number, November 5th, because they haven't certified that, but
So it was
as of
taking it
August.
from like
So,
3-something to 2-something thousand people.
so I make a motion that we accept number 19 as provided.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Dr.
Call the vote?
Dr. Bucalis?
Yes.
Mr. Katsoutis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Okay, number 20. Initiative and referendum, that should be a 3 after that, by the way.
Oh, yep.
Sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission, this charter requires a referendum election to be held 90 days from the date of filing thereof or as soon thereafter as the supervisor of election shall permit. Shall the charter be amended to simply require a referendum election to be held at the next city or county election? Any comments on the title or the paragraph?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Dr. Bucalis?
Yes.
Mr. Katsoutis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 21, amend city hospital name. Sponsored by Charter Revision Commission, the city charter presently references the city-owned hospital as Advent Martha Canales. The name of the hospital leasing is Tarpon Springs Hospital Foundation. Shall the charter be amended to reflect the current and accurate name of the leasing of the city-owned property, Tarpon Springs Hospital Foundation, Inc.? Any comments on the discussion on the name or the paragraph? Can I have a motion?
Motion to
accept?
approve. Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Call the vote, please.
Dr. Cavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Cascuda?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colfianis?
Yes.
Chair Root?
Yes. Number 22, clarification of grammar and Scrivener's errors sponsored by the Charter Revision Commission. Currently, the city charter contains multiple grammar and Scrivener's errors. Shall the city charter be comprehensively amended to correct any and all grammar and Scrivener's errors? May I, is there any
Motion.
comments on?
That would need a comment. Make a motion to approve.
Any second? Second.
Second.
Okay, call the vote.
Dr. Cavallis?
Yes.
Mr. Cascuda?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colfianis?
Yes.
And Chair Root?
Yes, you're out of here 10 minutes.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so that precludes any further discussion on the summary of amendments. As he's walking out the door, did anyone have anything else they wanted to say on this?
Except that we will be meeting one, again sometime in the future. Or not.
Yes,
To review the
To review
summary.
the recommended?
yes, we will be meeting again for you to review the recommendations. Make sure we have those correct.
Did y'all want to review
these
the
new
item two, the
recommendations.
The
summary?
recommendations that you had that you
No.
didn't put in the charter.
Oh, the recommendations, yeah, we're gonna push that, and I talked to Irene about maybe doing that in April after the new commission's in place.
Were y'all going to review the summary of amendments today? Or just the one, that's the only
Well,
one y'all
we've
changed?
made a number of changes there, and I don't think we're changing anything else, except there is a Scrivener's error on items, go ahead.
We can improve all, we can amend them.
Numbers.
Thank you, everyone.
It says AL instead of ALL. Okay. All right,
One more thing, please. Is it possible we can get the corrected copy of this now? You're gonna change,
Yeah,
Yes,
Irene could get, yeah.
we'll get the
all right,
changes
I need to
and
call
I'll
this
be happy
meeting
to
to a
forward
close
this.
because we no longer have a quorum. This meeting is adjourned. Okay, ask your question.
Really, you like it, too?
She did.